work is working with women, mostly women, some men, and to help them really build the courage to claim the life they want and live more powerfully inside themselves. So together, Adele and I have very similar, in our heart, similar work to do in the world and serving others. And so, it's been fun to come together in this mission. And our focus these past 4 weeks, as our final one, has been on how to build self-trust. Because Adele and I both know from personal experience and from our work professionally that without self-trust, it's really hard to make strides in your work life, in your relationship life, in your happiness world without, really trusting your inner self to speak to you. Mm-hmm. And today we are focusing on spirit and energy, which to me is so much at the heart of walking this path of self-trust. Don't you think, Adele?
It is. I think it's really is the starting point, because energy becomes matter and informs matter. And so if we want to change the physical world, our emotional or a mental world, we start with the energy and spirit. So we're doing the first last.
Yes, we are. And, I always think of my spiritual teachers saying that, we don't solve the problem on the plane that it's existing at. We have to kind of move up above it. So I'm always saying, let's get up here and do some energy work. Because when you're talking about energy work, what we're able to do is move, change the information that's coming in and feeding the other levels of our intelligence, the physical, the emotional, the mental. And so this is a really powerful way to get some work done and to make change and to begin to shift where you're feeling stuck or powerless in moving forward, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and when you look at the word information, it's like we're taking energy and putting it in a form.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Form.
Yeah. Yeah. And I always think of energy too as that it's here, it's around us, we're connecting with it. It's really how we're, without getting too overboard because we don't have a long time, but it's like how we're vibrationally connecting to what's around us and what's matching us. And so, what we're trying to do, hopefully all the time, is raise our energy, to raise that vibration, to hopefully, live in the abundant way that we want to, where we're attracting what we want in our lives.
I think that's such a great point, Laurel, because in my experience, and I think Einstein said this, if you are at a vibration that matches what you desire, he didn't say it this way, but if you're at a vibration that matches what you desire, it's so much easier to actually have it.
Yes, yes. And that's really that law of attraction. When you think about Esther and Jerry Hicks, who have a beautiful body of work out there, and that's really what they're saying is, if you match the vibration, you're going to start going with the flow of that you want, rather than being focused on the vibration of what you don't want.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. And the situation or the physical reality outside of yourself. I think it's so easy as a human being to get caught up in, well, it looks real. Is it this real?
Yeah.
Well, it is real right now, but it doesn't have to be what's real for you in the future. So I think you and I have both talked about how our personal journeys have demonstrated that. I mean, we're very different people. We're in the same body, but we're very different people than we were 20, 10, 5, 2 years ago. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. And when you start working, really tuning into your intuition, to your soul's calling, which we're going to talk more about, you do begin to feel like you're always recreating your life and recreating yourself and recreating your experience into more and more of what you want. Because as long as we're alive, we're going to have new wants and desires and imaginings arise within us. That's part of being the beautiful creators that we are, right?
Right. And new awarenesses, your awareness now that you have grandchildren is very different than when you had children, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And my awareness now, in my business where I am now was very different than it was 10 years ago because of all the changes that have happened in that time, right? So we're always, again, recreating, matching at new and different levels for what we want to experience as we keep going forward in life. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just want to say one thing about that, because I hear so many people, and I've heard myself say it, I wish I'd known this before. I wish I'd known this 20 years ago, or I wish I'd known this 5 years ago. Well, you didn't. So be happy with what you know now.
Yeah.
It's never too late. It is never too late.
Yeah. And we're always learning. So it's being able to just like pull it in. And if it really resonates with you and you're feeling that way, you know, instead of focusing on what you didn't know then, it's like be excited that you know it now and try, you know, bring it in and live it. You know, if it really excites you at that level, what we want to do is like let it raise our vibration, not pull it down. Why don't I know it? But ooh, now I know it, right? Which just pulls us up this way and forward and out. Yeah. Yeah. So tell me a little about, you know, exploring your spirit and your energy and soul life. You know, this is really an invitation for everybody to do that for themselves. What was your portal, so to speak, Adele, that kind of, you know, opened up that world to you?
Oh gosh, there's so many different chapters to that story. I will tell you that when I was probably 6 and had started going to Sunday school at the Episcopal Church where my family went. And if you don't know about the Episcopalians, they're not real big on guilt or anything like that. Just kind of free form. But I was being taught that God was a big guy in the sky, and I would look up at the clouds and say, no, that's not right. So somehow I knew I knew the truth of that, even then. And I've always been a seeker. So, and I'm so glad I'm a seeker because I've had so much that I have wanted to unwind, you know, in the programming I've had from the past and the decisions I made and stuff that didn't work very well. So, I'm not quite sure exactly how to answer all of that, except it's extremely important to me. I've been resistant to letting my soul lead. I will admit to that. And, you know, the 2x4s kind of get your attention. You go, you're not the only one in charge here. So, so that's what I would say for right now. It's just so important to me. And I've done a lot of work, and taken a lot of courses on energy work and seen how it's helped me and helped other people heal and get more prosperous and really just feel so much better about themselves and their life. So, you know, professionally I've taken it on as well as personally. And I just, you know, I have to watch myself. I could live in the world of spirit a lot. But to bring it back down into physical form, emotional form, and mental form, I think is the key. That's the key for me right now. It's like, it's great that it's energy, and it's wonderful that I'm learning how to direct it. But if I bring it into form, it's like that's what my life is about, right?
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Trying to work on all levels. How about you?
Yeah. So mine was more like felt like it was more like a one event. Although I've always been a seeker, but when I started taking Tai Chi very early on in my learning, I started to feel energy moving through my arms as I was doing the form, and for me that was the moment when I thought, oh my gosh, this is a whole world of I don't know what, but I do want to know what it is and I want to explore. And so, you know, it's just been a lot of exploration for me since then, and study and incorporating it into my work life too as well. And so what I would say, you know, I think our invitation this morning is for anybody who is feeling like they want to or they're interested, but they don't really know how to go about it or what's their portal or what's their opening. I would say, you know, whatever's speaking to you or whatever you're kind of, you know, getting the little bells going off when you think about, you know, knowing a little bit more, that's a beautiful way. Sometimes it's crisis. Sometimes it's illness that brings us into that world.
Me.
Right?
Yeah,
me too. You know, that idea of there were no solutions in the Western medical world for what was going on in my world. So it was like, okay, let's go try this other thing. And thankfully, you know, right people came at the right time.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you're struggling, if anyone's struggling out there and they feel like this is just not working the way it is, the invitation is to come over here and explore some energy ideas and thoughts and concepts and see how they resonate, and see what might speak to you.
Yeah. So I would just like to give a little list of some things that may be of interest to you. So yoga, I mean, I know a lot of people do yoga, meditation, Tai Chi, like you said, Reiki, touch for health. I'm just thinking of the healing modalities.
Cranial sacral comes up for me.
Right.
Which is a beautiful, gentle,
Body talk is another one. No, there's so many that you could, go to a class on, like yoga, or be attuned like in Reiki, or have a practitioner work with you. I'm particularly interested in access consciousness right now. And I go to see a practitioner once a month who runs bars, which is basically a relaxation and release technology. So there's a lot out there. So if you said, Laurel, if something's been tickling your tickling your intuition, check it out. You don't have to make a big commitment, but, maybe go to a yoga class, maybe go to a meditation class, maybe see a Reiki practitioner or acupuncture or access consciousness bars. There's so much. And whatever you're attracted to will help to open up that channel for you, that channel of spirit and energy.
It's another one that I want to throw in there that keeps coming up for me is feng shui.
Yes.
Right. And a lot of times we don't necessarily connect that if you don't know what that is. It's translated wind, water, and it's the art of placement, and it's really working with the energy of your surroundings to begin to move the energy of your life and how they mimic one another. So that's another beautiful, for somebody who's into decorating or, home space or that kind of thing. It's a beautiful portal to explore. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We'd love to hear what you take on, because it, as Laurel said so beautifully, it's an invitation to listen to your intuition and to let your spirit speak to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say too, part of this exploration then kind of dives into the idea of beginning to develop some clarity about how you think about it. So for some of us at the beginning, might seem a little overwhelming, or we don't really know how to grab onto it, because don't forget, it's energy. This concept is a little elusive. The idea of spirit, that which is beyond form, beyond consciousness, or of the pure consciousness, is like, it's hard to grasp with our ego mind and our smaller sense of self. And so, part of this is, how do you start thinking about it and get some language for it and some words for it and some clarity about what it means to you.
Yes.
Right? Individually.
And I would like to put out a word that a lot of people use when they're first introduced to this, and I still use it when I'm introduced to new stuff, and I've been at this for over 25 years. Weird.
Yeah.
People find it weird.
Yeah.
And the root word, the original meaning of the word weird was destiny. It was associated with fates, the fates, or fate. And so I like to think of it as, if it's weird, it might be helping you take your destiny back into your own hands. Rather than
that's beautiful, Adele.
Having it out there. Because that's, as I said, that's the illusion we have, is that the power and the energy and the spirit is out there when it's really in us. And learning to connect with that internally and externally, it changes your life. It does change your life. And plus, it's interesting as heck to realize, I can use a pendulum and help somebody feel better? Wow, that is so cool.
I know. And I'm glad you brought up the idea, too, about sometimes it's called weird, or you're seen as weird if you're interested in it. And that was really, for 25 years ago, 30 years ago, when I first started doing Tai Chi, that was more about, it was strange and it wasn't mainstream at all then. And when I started talking about it, you could kind of tell the people that it was not going to go well with, because their eyes would get a little strange, or they'd be moving away from me as I talked about it or whatever. And it was like, okay, I needed to have a tribe to explore with that got it, that was interested like I was. And so, if you feel like you'd be venturing out on your own, out of your, relationships you're in now, to go and do this, it is, in that way, it is a risk in terms of like going in there and exploring and letting it be your thing for a while, and keeping it safe while you explore. Find a tribe that you can share with, and don't worry about the other people.
That's a great point. But I will say, it is so much more in the culture, in the language, than it was when we first started. Yeah. And that, I hardly meet a person who hasn't heard of the film The Secret, or the book The Secret, or The Law of Attraction. It's in the general language. And what I find is people tell me that they feel so isolated because they feel like they can't talk about it at work or something. Yeah. And yet there are other people feeling the same way. I know, because I talk to them and they come to my workshops. And yeah. So find someone who's supportive. Yeah. And have an adventure. Yeah. Yeah. It's because it's such an adventure. It's such an adventure. And the possibilities are endless. That's the other thing I love about it, is they're just endless possibilities of where it can take you and what it can do in your life, that's exciting and lovely. Yeah. Yeah. And I just want to say, and I'm speaking to my former self, before I really, got into this, is that things can change. They look solid, and you think your situation is never going to change. It is going to change. Mm-hmm. And it can change in the ways that you want it to, especially if you get some tools and support and some encouragement to make those changes.
Yeah, yeah. And that's where the courage comes in too, the confidence and the courage, because the change, whenever we're looking at change, there are always going to be steps along the way, milestones, places where you get to, and you're going to need courage. You're going to need to draw on your confidence. You're going to need that tribe to help you just say, something in me really wants this, so I'm going to go for it. And, face, some of the stickiness that happens when you do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So so glad you are talking about that, just to let people know it's not a cakewalk. Yeah. But we know life isn't a cakewalk. And these, tapping into your energy, your spirit, your intuition, your divine nature, it makes life different. And in many ways, so much easier and better flow and more abundance and more love and more happiness. And sometimes, I just want to say this, sometimes I feel a little shallow talking about happiness. I know there's a lot of talk about it, but it's like, well, shouldn't we be serious and solve the world's problem? Well, if I'm happy and you're happy, we're 2 points of light that can shine, right? And if it's good enough for the Dalai Lama, the pursuit of happiness, then it's good enough for me. I love the Dalai Lama.
Well, yeah. And I think that, I know one of the teachers that I've had along the way too, it talks about the idea of, shouldn't that be kind of primary in our pursuit of doing this work and doing this stuff that we're doing, is like, if a byproduct is not happy or a result isn't happiness, joy, higher, level of quality of life, then what are we doing? What is the point, So yeah. And how about trusting your intuition and following through? How's that journey been for you? You said you had a little struggle there of getting in there.
Well, I think what I want to clarify is that following my intuition about action has been really strong for me, and I know my signal, and that's another thing that we could talk about, is knowing your signal. So my signal is it's like deep in my body, deep in my pelvis, like second chakra. I just know. I just know. And I'm a very mental type, so I can spin lots of ideas. Like today, I thought, well, let's have a luncheon for blah, 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 blah on Labor Day. I was like, yeah, it's going to be 90 degrees outside, hot and humid. Then it's going to rain. And I don't have enough people to seat 8. I don't have enough space to seat 8 people at a table. It's like, maybe let's mix that up and do it 2 different events. So I had to feel into my body, like it's a great idea. I really want to do it, but let's feel into it and see if that's really what I want and what's really going to work best. And I think the other thing when I was talking about not trusting my intuition was my fear response, which I'm not sure is my intuition, but it was the mental thoughts I had and projecting into the future, which I'm prone to do. And so again, coming back into my body, coming back down to the first and second chakras, if you're not familiar with that, I know you are, but if a watcher is not familiar with that, that's the base of your torso, the bottom of your body, like the base of your spine, and in your pelvic area. So those are energy centers that have a database of various emotions, thoughts, and realities.
Yeah. So, for everybody, and everybody's going to have a different way of connecting with intuition. So some people are very auditory. Some people are very visual. They'll get images. Some people are very kinesthetic. They'll feel it more in their body. And some people have a combination of all those things. And so part of the exploration and part of, connecting with your own intuition is discovering how you connect and how you read the information that's coming through and how to decide how to act on it based on, what you understand about yourself and that connection over time. It doesn't usually happen in that first hit. In the first hit, you're like, oh, this is something, I feel something,
right.
Is this I should follow it or I shouldn't follow it, right? That's the discernment, right?
Yes.
And then it's, which is the right path to take, and you learn how to ask the questions and do that. One of the simplest ways, and this will be, the challenge we'll toss out to people, is first just connecting with, when you feel like you're wondering, should I take that class? Answer yes, see how your body feels.
Yes.
Answer no, see how your body feels.
Yes.
Yes, no response is one of the simplest ways to start connecting, don't you think?
I do. And what you can look for when you do that is, does my body feel happy or does it feel light when I say yes or no, or does it feel heavy and not happy? Yeah.
And your body is telling you. It's responding to that situation. And the energy, it's being informed by the greater energy, right? If you allow yourself to just read the greater energy of the question on a physical level, and that yes-no response is just energetically giving you a heads up, thumbs up, thumbs down.
Exactly. And, if we were to get into quantum physics, which I don't really understand, but I have studied a little bit, there probably is no time and space. So your body may actually be reading the future. Like, is it in my highest and best good to take this class? Yes. That was my when I very first got into my healing modalities that I use in my work, I was like, I was going to take a hypnosis class. I was so drawn to it, and it was like, why? This is very weird. Well, I understood the first day I got to class, I was introduced to the subconscious mind, which is the command center for your body and your thoughts and your feelings and your spiritual connection. I was like, oh my gosh. I just knew I had to take it, and I'm so glad that I followed my intuition, because it changed everything.
Yeah. So then that was the same thing with me with the Tai Chi class. It was like being drawn to it, didn't really know why, but knew there was something in there that I really was for me. And that was a portal that opened up all kinds of beautiful energy, fun. Yes.
Yeah. So before we are we kind of ready to wrap up?
Yeah, I want to challenge everybody to really connect with that yes/no response. Really tune in physically, auditorily, visually, start to learn, intuitively, if this is new for you and a new path for you, just allow your intuition to speak through your body, through your beingness, and see how the messages are received. And start with the simple yeses and nos,
So beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, before we go, I would love you to tell us more about what's going on in your business and how people can connect with you and because to continue the conversation if they want to.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I coach people. I still take on one-on-one clients. I'm still doing a little bit of that work, and I usually, more often than not, I have 1 or 2 spaces in my schedule for clients. Right now, I'm not full, so I'm open to working with somebody one-on-one. I do a fair amount of group work and workshop work at this point. That's kind of one of the loves of my life, and then speaking as well. So I have two online programs right now, a smaller one which teaches you how to meditate and learn how to sit still with yourself and really start to connect with how to manifest what you want in your life through these 12 pillars that I introduced. And then I have my big signature program, which is Live Your Inner Power. And that's learning the 8 practices, which for me are essential to creating a life that that you're really going to love from the inside out.
Yeah.
So those are all ways to work with me. And I'm going to be at a beautiful women's retreat day in Portland, Maine in November, which I'm very excited about. So somebody's looking for a space to get away, that's a great place to come and commune with us for a day and really learn how to harvest your soul and listen to, just like we were talking about today, how do we connect and deepen that experience in our lives and that connection.
Wonderful. Yeah. So liveyourinnerpower.com is where you're finding it.
Liveyourinnerpower.com. Laurel at liveyourinnerpower.com. Feel free to reach out. And Adele, turning it over to you. Tell us a little bit about what's going on in your business and your life right now. Yeah.
Sure. I would love to. So I'm continuing to do my local in-person workshops once a month called Abundance with Adele. So if you're in the Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina area, please go to Adele Michael or AbundanceWithAdele.com and sign up, or go to AdeleMichael.com. There's an events tab there. I'm very excited about the 2-day authentic marketing event that I'm doing in Durham, North Carolina in October for a small group of business women owners who want to get really clear and compelling with their marketing message and up their confidence and create a tribe like you were just talking about. So that's also on my site. It's called Choosing Abundance. So if you're interested in that, and I think we both have regular newsletters, and we both do Facebook Live. So if you'd like to connect with us that way, please do. And Laurel, thank you so much. This has been so fun to have these conversations and to get to know you. And I just recommend that people get in touch with you because you're such a light and you're so fun, and you've obviously walking the talk.
Thank you. Ditto, Adele. And, for anyone who has not connected with you that might be listening, who's in my tribe, I highly recommend you getting on Adele's mailing list at least, because you put out some beautiful videos that can really introduce people to some more ideas about energy and really connect that whole world of how we're putting our business together, how we're living energetically with choosing what we really want to choose. And I think the blending of that is so powerful. So there's so much to learn just from being on your newsletter list.
Well, and same with yours. I just love the energy that you flow, and it's strong and it's feminine and it's happy and it's informed. It's informed. You've come at this from a lot of experience. So, well, thank you. And thank you everyone for joining us. It's been a journey of technology and fun talks. And we hope to see you online or in person again sometime soon.
Yeah. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Bye.